where he earned a BA and MA in economics from the University of Washington in Seattle, and later a PhD in economics from the University of California, Berkeley. After graduation, Congressman Lantos chose to remain in the United States, and he eventually became an American citizen. He spent decades teaching economics before deciding to run for Congress. In the House of Representatives, he has risen to chair the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, where he represents a strong voice for responsible international involvement and advocates participation in international organizations, particularly for human rights. In 1983, Mr. Lantos was the founder of the Congressional Human Rights Caucus, and he continues to serve as its co-chairman. Congressman Lantos has been a reliable vote against communist countries. In 2001, he voted to keep a travel ban in place against communist Cuba until Castro freed political prisoners. In 1999 and 2000, he voted against permanent normal trade relations with communist China until its observance of human rights improves. The Congressman has also been a strong supporter of the Victims of Communism Memorial. Please welcome Congressman Tom Lantos. Congressman.
We are an ahistorical society, and it's absolutely mandatory that we remember the period of communism which represented an existential threat to the civilized world. I salute and honor all those who played a role in bringing about this monument, so significant to the upcoming generation, which barely knows that not too many years ago, the communists felt that they were the wave of the future, that the future belonged to them. And they took a handful of powerful political leaders in this country and elsewhere, Republicans and Democrats, and individuals of all political persuasions, to recognize the difference between free and open and democratic societies and communist tyranny. Since we are an ahistorical society, it is probably up to me, who spent most of his life in the 20th century, to point out that communism was not the only monstrous phenomenon determined to destroy free and open societies. It was my privilege to fight against Nazism, and it was my privilege to fight against communism, and it is now my privilege to fight against Islamic terrorism determined to take us back 13 centuries. It was only a few months ago that I stood in Cleveland in front of a group of Hungarian Americans, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. There they are. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts commemorating the 50th anniversary of the 1956 uprising. The 1956 uprising was the quintessential rise of the human spirit against communist tyranny. It had no chance of succeeding, people said. My view of the 56 uprising is not that it was a failure, it was a delayed victory. President Bush, who will be here in a few minutes, went to Budapest in November to commemorate that magnificent uprising, which is so symbolic of the human spirit, which is unwilling to live under tyrannies in North Korea, in Iran, in Afghanistan under the Taliban, in Cuba, and in all these other places where monsters take control of government and are denying religious, political, human freedom to all their people. There is not the slightest doubt in my mind that long after the current tyrannies, exemplified by Ahmadinejad in Iran, will have been swept away by the forces of history, the United States of America, the city on a hill, the United States of America, of which not only I am proud to be a citizen, but every single individual who tasted communism from Albania to Estonia knows that without the United States of America, this existential struggle for human freedom and human liberty would have been lost. I am so glad that the era of Jacques Chirac and Chancellor Schroeder in Germany is now gone. I had occasion to point out to my German friends what we did for them in 2 generations. We saved them from Hitler. We gave them the Marshall Plan. We had a little sideshow called the Berlin Airlift, 253,000 flights to keep the people of Berlin fed and warm. And for 2 generations, we protected them from the Soviet Union. And when we asked Schroeder to stand with us, he told us where to go. I referred to him as a political prostitute, now that he's taking big checks from Putin. But the sex workers in my district objected, so I will no longer use that phrase. I told my French friends that Jacques Chirac should go down to the Normandy beaches. He should see those endless rows of snow-white marble crosses and stars of David representing young Americans who gave their lives for the freedom of France under Angela Merkel in Germany and Sarkozy in Hungary, a Hungarian in France. Relations with Germany and France will take a very positive turn. We will rebuild the Atlantic Alliance. And just as today, NATO has accepted its responsibility of fighting the monstrous evil of the Taliban in Afghanistan, NATO will be revitalized in the coming years as the military arm of the civilized world to see to it that no Nazism, no communism, no Ahmadinejadism will prevail on this planet. One of my younger grandchildren asked me yesterday, why was the President of the United States so well received in Albania? He has been accustomed to having demonstrations against the President of the United States, whoever he may be. So I explained to him that his grandmother and I opened Albania after 50 years of no contact, and it was my privilege to bring back a letter from the Albanian president to our president, asking for the reestablishment of diplomatic relations. It is my privilege to continue working with these countries, from North Korea to Libya to hopefully Iran, to bring about a recognition that the wave of the future is not godless communism. It is not distorted Islamic fascism, but it is free and open and democratic societies. God bless us all.
Thank you very much.